let me know, so nudge me or something, or stop me, so that I can go back and learn things. Okay. So today we will discuss together architecture, media, and design communication, looking at the evolution of storytelling in a shifting and ever-changing world, focusing first on art daily, and then exploring my journey with the platform and this field and the multidisciplinary aspect, let's say, of architecture. So as I mentioned, we're going to start by exploring together the world of art daily, looking at the global vision of the platform, and start the evolution of it, the team behind the content, as well as the role of art daily in shaping the architectural discourse and the extent of its influence. But first, what is art daily? Art daily is the most used source of information for architects on the internet. It's actually the world's most visited architecture platform, and we're talking about 17 million monthly visits. So our readership is spread around the world in over 230 countries and regions, mainly in North America, Latin America, Europe, India, China, and the Middle East. And this is actually a slide that just showcases in dark blue the extent of the influence of art daily. So anyone who has studied architecture actually is likely to have encountered art daily during their studies and throughout their career. And I explored the numbers, so it's like 17 million per month are exposed to the content of art daily, 800,000 visits per day, millions of followers of social media, and obviously with great power comes, in a sense, great responsibility. So providing tools, inspiration, and knowledge to help create better cities, art daily basically seeks to empower everyone, not just architects, but everyone who makes architecture happen to create a better quality of life. So why cities? Because as we enter the urban age, billions of people will move into cities over the coming decades. So cities have become the biggest challenge for humanity. And as we know, architects are the biggest actors in shaping cities. In fact, art daily is not only, it's not only just for architects, but for all enthusiasts who imagine, design, build, and shape the future of our world. A bit of historical context. So, art daily was founded in 2008, which is like 16 years ago. This network that is impacting the whole world came from Chile, from Santiago, Chile, from the global south. So it began as a platform to collect and spread the most important information for architects. It all began basically... Can you hear me? Should I continue? Do you hear me?
Yes,
what
I can hear you, but there's still disconnection between interpretation and us. He's talking right now?
Okay.
You may continue, I think it's okay.
Okay, great. So, as I was saying, art daily began as a platform to collect and spread the most important information for architects. So it began with two Davids, but the founders believed that perhaps through information we can improve life in cities. So that was the initial idea and, let's say, purpose of this platform. It's an ever-evolving tool, always changing. Today, art daily is a platform and not a blog for anybody who has a passion and determination, basically, to shape the world around them. So every day, architects and designers from around the world send us their latest projects, products, news, and opinions. And using innovative technologies, we collect, we curate, we share, and we write about the best information out there through we share basically the best insights in our knowledge of database, reaching millions of readers every month. So we are basically trying to show the best innovations, the best projects, the best architecture, the best ideas out there. And this is why our readers trust us, because of our great content. So you can only imagine how much we've received in order for us to curate that much. So breaking how architectural knowledge was distributed and where it was produced, art daily needed to be very approachable and accessible to a wide audience across the globe through the power of internet, words, and imageries. So basically, our daily was a way to democratize information and valorize good architecture. At the same time, around the world, architecture was naturally becoming more democratized. It was becoming more available for everyone, and not just for the elites, and also in terms of information. So our daily basically was aligned with the evolving needs of society, or maybe it was just there at the right time. So it was also a platform that recognized new and emerging talents, exposing their work to the world and following their architectural journey. Basically, we trusted certain, let's say, young architects, and basically they made it big, helping them to highlight their projects and to be recognized and becoming a source somewhere else in the world. And reference, of course. So being from Chile, the platform highlighted territories that major magazines at the time didn't pay attention to, focusing on different scales and budgets of projects also. So it wasn't just about showcasing the biggest and newest, let's say, project in the Western Hemisphere. So with that, our daily became a source of very fresh information. So why do we do what we do? So to advance global architectural discourse and address the evolving needs. Give me 1 second, I lost my screen. Yeah, so why we do what we do? To advance global architectural discourse and address the evolving needs and challenges in architecture, to make a global impact by improving the built environment and enhancing basically urban living. And how do we do it? By empowering architects with tools, inspiration, and knowledge, embracing the ever-evolving definition of architecture, advocating for interdisciplinary approaches, engaging with new audiences, and adapting to changing narratives and needs. So our daily provides a platform that supports those shaping the built environment by sharing resources, showcasing exemplary architecture, and facilitating discussions that address today's architectural challenges. So obviously, other than the responsibility of creating content that serves the global purpose, our daily has also the responsibility of connecting between the industry and society. And this can be seen mostly in our project features and in our catalog. And looking a bit more on our content team, and actually the team behind this, the team consists of architects, everyone in our daily is an architect, who write, curate, and analyze trends and they're based around the world. So we have people in Chile, Brazil, Mexico, UK, US, Germany, Switzerland, Portugal, Romania, Lebanon, Egypt. I have a whole list in front of me: Tanzania, Nigeria, Namibia, Sudan, China, Hong Kong, India, and this is just part of it. So I know it's shocking for some, but obviously we're not robots, and we're architects, that's right. So a very diverse team brings to the world contextual issues and solutions. And other than covering recent innovations and the latest updates, our team highlights also underrepresented and represented territories in the media, seeking to adjust the narratives, adjust the stories, sharing new voices, and highlighting basically stories that have always been there but were not told or not brought to the bigger audience. And our daily success is actually the result of the many talented individuals who have contributed to the mission over the years. All the architects that wrote, that curated, and were part of the mission of our daily. And obviously there are so many names and figures that are involved that it's difficult for me to name them. Focusing on the built environment in general, and not only on architecture as an independent entity, our content expands to other interconnected, let's say, realms like construction, technology, materials, landscape, urban design, planning, urban art, design, installation, and so much more, because all of this now is part of what is architecture. So other than that, other than the, let's say, expanding definition of what architecture is, also our daily focuses on architects innovating in their career path, exploring the adjacent world of tech, design thinking, and so much more, even fashion. The world is going today in every direction, changing constantly, and we need, in our daily, but also everyone else, to be able to understand what is happening, to embrace the changes, and make them part of what we do, as well as anticipate future trends. So it's important for us, as I was saying, to understand what is happening and to really understand the challenges of the world. And those are at the core of our content strategies. So we're talking about environmental threats, resources, lack of resources, inequality, segregation, social exclusion, informal settlement, and so on. So we understand the issues and we seek to find and underline solutions. And this is why actually we're part of the architectural discourse and part of that also the predicting trends part. So Argdeli has been at the forefront of a shift in the mindset. Basically, we were one of the first media, for example, to cover the works of Aravena way before his Pritzker days. We raised issues of refurbishment and adaptive reuse that eventually led Lacaton and Assad to win their Pritzker in 2021. And we first published the schools of Kayseri back when they were first built. So other than our internal analysis, we take part of the biggest events in the world to actually understand and learn where the profession is heading towards. And this year, after having traveled across the globe, our team also came up with a key conclusion, and this is something that we do on every couple of months. And one of the most important lessons that is resonating now and that I wanted to share with you is that a new world order is emerging with new centers of knowledge, production, and control that imagines basically a more equitable and optimistic common future. New audiences are also emerging, hungry for different narratives, different tools, and different languages of space, form, and place. Asking what is good architecture, I actually mentioned a lot of good architecture, so it was important for us to put this knowledge or this know-how somewhere. So Argdeli has recently produced the Argdeli Guide to Good Architecture, which reflects on the relevance of architecture and the built environment in addressing the contemporary challenges. So to answer this question, basically we looked back at more than 40,000 projects that we created over 15 years, centering our findings on 10 principles. So what is good architecture? So good architecture should be considerate, durable, holistic, inclusive, innovative, local, protective, resourceful, useful, and also desirable. I'm trying to explain that the sheer scale of Argdeli now is basically a reflection, it's a direct reflection of how important architecture is today. So this is the point of showing you these numbers and this impact. Our world is becoming more complex and it's putting more pressure and demands on the built environment. And that is why, now more than ever, the availability and exchange of information and knowledge is super crucial. And this is what I was just explaining. So diversity is obviously also key to our profession as it expands our views of the world and connects us with the real needs of society. And the better built environment is always an inclusive one. And last year, for example, we also produced a documentary titled Women in Architecture. It's a project with Skyframe that sheds more light on the role of women in architecture by increasing their visibility and empowering them to realize their full potential. I invite you all to watch it on YouTube. It's available, and it's starring Toshiko Mori, Gabriela Carrillo, and Johanna Mayer-Grover. And this year we're going to have the sequel for this movie. In the second part of this presentation, I wanted to focus a bit more on my journey with Argdeli. Maybe that could inspire some of you to seek a career that is in architecture, but also, let's say, not a traditional path of architecture. So, entering architecture for me was, anyways, coincidence. It wasn't a planned decision, but now I can't see myself doing anything else, nor do I want to. Besides architecture, writing has always been my medium of expression. So from a young age, I've been drawn to words, language, but it became naturally part of my architectural career. Initially, it was a way for me to reflect during my architectural studies, and it evolved eventually to become a deeper exploration of the field. So I started my career in traditional architectural offices, but realized that my true interest wasn't in building. Actually, I'm one of those that would consider that we should stop building at some point and that's why I went to urban design, and I felt like we should modify what we already have rather than creating new structure. So anyways, I always preferred analyzing the field through writing over adding new constructions. And that was, so I started working in different writing jobs as an editor for a local magazine, research assistant, teaching assistant, and in 2019 I applied online for an open call at Art Daily, literally out of curiosity, that basically managed to shape my current career. Many ask us if working in architecture and media is an alternative career path, and that was something that I was trying to explain. So I still identify as an architect, I'm an architect, but an architect who writes, not as someone branching out of the career. But it's just a way of showing you that as an architect, there are so many outcomes. So I think it's very important that we rethink the role of what an architect should, can do, and redefine what it means to be an architect beyond just designing and building. So writing is one of the ways to engage and explore architecture, but there are so many others. And for me, for example, working in a fast-paced environment makes me reevaluate my understanding of architecture on a daily basis. So Art Daily has been pretty fulfilling as an experience. It's a fast-moving platform and lifestyle, but it has a lot of perks and a different career path. So over the past 5 years, the role allowed me to reinvent myself, to embrace basically a multidisciplinary approach, which is, in my opinion, very crucial to today's world. And anyways, this is what the platform is doing. It's encouraging this interdisciplinary approach, breaking free from what a traditional, let's say, role of architect is, or what are the traditional expectations. So Art Daily also allows you to be connected to millions of readers, visitors, change makers, architects, and gives you the opportunity of telling a story and contributing to the global conversation. So much has changed in the past 5 years for me, but also for Art Daily and throughout Art Daily's 16-year history. Like as I was explaining, it's a fast-paced platform. You know, every day we have content, we have new projects. Every day we're following the trends and what is happening around the world. So the scale and visibility of Art Daily, as I mentioned, emphasize the importance of architecture today, and it's also only growing. So the platform has transformed also how architectural knowledge is distributed and produced. It was one of the main pioneers in that. So by providing tools, inspiration, and knowledge to everyone around the world, and not to specific areas, let's say. Art Daily's coverage has also expanded from individual building to exploring both the built and unbuilt environment, and this evolution is actually reflected in how the logo changed. So it was like focused. It was like actually a building, and then it evolved to becoming more. It's looking more at the virtual and built environment. So it's not just an entity on itself, but it's also everything else around it and part of it. So going back to what I initially said, Art Daily is deeply involved in global discussions, raising awareness, providing solutions, and adjusting narratives. And basically what we try to do is empowering every individual to contribute to architecture, promoting community involvement and engagement. And that's it for me.
I think it will be very inspiring in terms of this economic crisis in Turkey, where the architecture becomes a less desired profession in general, and most of the students or the graduates in this hall, I'm sure they have some kind of profession. So I find this whole presentation to show it in your own story as well as our daily story, how the borders of architecture, the practice could expand far more beyond than what we have discussed. Just one small question I have, if you have time. Do you? Just a very okay. I just, because you said that it's not a Eurocentric organization, because the foundation itself, it emerged from South America and becomes a worldwide platform. And you yourself is also based in Beirut, although you have times where you were working in the western part of the world. In the last, let's say, in the last 5 years, I would like to ask how the stories from the periphery, let's say, have more power or more weight, let's say, and how this kind of affected the whole economics of the business. Because I know that it's also a business model that runs with the products behind it.
Yeah.
But then most of the construction is on the, let's say, on China or in US and etc. How did you challenge, kind of balance this challenge between the business model and the ideal world? Because I know you do it very well in the company. I just want to hear that part.
I think the best thing is that editorial is very much independent, in the sense that editorial is not the part that will bring in the money, which is great for me because we can tell all these stories that are happening and not just focus on something that will basically bring us revenue, So I think the fact that we have different, let's say, teams, but also like different divisions. So we have like the projects team, which is more about the build projects. We have the editorial team, which looks more at these stories of things that are happening now, but at things also that happened before and that we want to shed light on. We have the catalog team that works more, let's say, with manufacturers, which is more involved with the business model of things. And then we have, so on and so on. So I would say that I was very lucky to work with the editorial team for the past 5 years and not to have any limitations in the sense of what stories to tell or where to look at, or and have this freedom of really not being tied to something related, let's say, to revenue. So I hope that I answered your question. And this actually made us, this freedom, in that sense, this editorial freedom, made us really look beyond things, obviously, but also the editors that we have. So in the editorial team, we have editors literally stationed around the world, because for me it was always, this is one of the rules that I have, that no one would tell the story better than someone who lives there or someone who is from there. So that's why if I want to tell a story about Turkey, I would get an editor from there, and didn't have. And so on. So if I want to tell certain stories about Africa, we have strategy now that is focused on modernism in Africa, and it's an editor that is originally from Sudan. We had an editor also from Nigeria. So it's very important also to be as diverse as possible in our company, with our writers, with our curators, because they are our eyes around the world, and they are also bringing in all these stories and all this knowledge that we will also be highlighting to the entirety of the world in that sense.
Yes, thank you. And I find this collaboration very important with the manufacturers, producers, and producers and contractors, and the designers and the writers and all of them. And this event is also kind of a collaboration of all the teams with the sponsors and the content that we are freely producing, apart from all the local sponsors that are supporting the event. So I find the whole story inspiring of Chritele, and you also inspiring in that sense. And thank you very much for joining us in this very hard condition. I wish we would have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.